When 21-year-old Connie Weeks meets Glen Stark Chambers, she falls head over heels in love. The 23-year-old is a smooth talker, and he knows how to charm women. The couple hastily decides to move in together, but their romance will not last. Unfortunately, their love and bliss will soon transform into hatred and abuse. Glen's behavior spirals out of control, and he often gets physical with the woman he claims he loves. It all comes to a head on January the 22nd of 1975, when an argument in the morning leads to a night of violence. Glen spends the day stewing on his girlfriend's words, with his anger reaching its tipping point. He travels to Sarasota Lane's bowling alley on Fruitville Road to confront Connie at her workplace. When she arrives, Glen pulls Connie out of her vehicle and a frenzied attack ensues. He assaults her mercilessly until an off-duty police officer intervenes and Glen turns his attention to the law enforcement officer. At 6'3", Chambers is a force to be reckoned with, but authorities get the upper hand and he is quickly subdued. 6:18 p.m. Glen Chambers is taken to the police station and booked on a charge of simple battery. A fearful Connie tells the police he's going to kill me. He really is. With Chambers behind bars, she finally has an opportunity to escape her tormentor forever. Unfortunately, she will not. Around 9:25 p.m., Connie will visit the police department to bail out Glen Chambers before returning home with her abuser. Glen Chambers has spent the night drinking, smoking marijuana, and taking Quaaludes. His anger combined with the drugs and alcohol will prove to be a deadly combination. And then, things go from bad to worse. 10:50 p.m. Glen Chambers walks into the Sarasota Memorial Hospital with Connie Weeks in his arms. He tells nurses that Connie had fallen while taking a bath. Glen would be arrested before he could leave the hospital, while Connie barely clings to life. Connie Marie Weeks was born on February the 8th of 1953. She passed away on January the 27th, 1975 at 9:15 p.m. after being in the hospital for 5 days. While Chambers was charged with first-degree murder, Connie's loved ones laid her to rest at the Palms Memorial Park in Sarasota, Florida. Glen Chambers would sit in jail for several months before going on trial in May of 1975. During the trial, Chambers would say that he intended to hurt Connie Weeks, but he never meant to kill her. He would claim to the jury that they were involved in a female slave type or sadomasochistic relationship. Connie had severe brain trauma, and the couple's apartment and Glen's vehicle were covered in blood. Most of Connie's hair had been pulled from her head before she was fatally bashed by her vicious boyfriend. Indication of swelling on one of Glen's hands convinced prosecutors that he mainly beat the defenseless girl with his hands. On May the 29th of 1975, Glen Chambers would be convicted of first-degree murder before being sentenced to die in the electric chair on July the 11th. Many felt that justice had been served, but a twist of fate would change everything and lead to a massive manhunt. Glen Chambers was adamant that he wasn't going to be put to death by the state of Florida, so he teamed up with 2 other inmates to change the course of his future. On January the 13th of 1975, Glen was still housed at the Sarasota County Jail and waiting to be sent to death row. Around 11 p.m., Glen Chambers, Willie Bennett, and Jeff Daniels plotted their escape. When detention officer Kevin Miller was returning Jeff Daniels to his cell after a visit to medical, Glen jumped from a ledge and attacked the deputy. While Jeffrey Daniels held the officer down, Glen opened all doors in A block, setting the inmates free. After bashing the detention officer in the face several times, Glen and the others escaped through a 3rd floor window using a rope made of bed sheets. Jeff Daniels and Willie Bennett would not get far before being captured, but Chambers would remain free for 3 days. Once recaptured, Glen confessed that the escape had been planned for a long time and he wasn't ready to give up yet. This time, he would try his luck with the legal system and find some success. Glen would appeal his case and take it all the way to the Florida Supreme Court before having his death sentence dropped to life in prison. On April the 20th of 1997, he would receive another 5 years in prison for the attempted escape. Once Glen Chambers was transferred to the Polk Correctional Institution, his attitude would take a 180. He became a model inmate and stayed out of trouble, making him eligible for PRIDE, a program allowing trusted inmates to build furniture for offices across the state. Roughly 15 years after the murder of Connie Weeks, Glen Chambers would try his luck once again. February 21st, 1990. Glen Chambers was helping load furniture onto trucks when he saw his opportunity. He took a gamble and loaded himself in one of the boxes, and another inmate helped put boxes on top of that one to hide him. The truck left the prison en route to Daytona Beach for a scheduled delivery. As the driver experienced stop and go traffic between Polk City and Daytona Beach, Chambers found a way to escape the box and change his clothes. Then, he would escape the truck and vanish. The only trace left behind was Chambers' inmate outfit, found in the back of the delivery truck. Authorities suspect that Chambers escaped on his own, but received assistance once outside the prison. It has been 30 years since Chambers escaped, and much of his success is contributed to his intelligence. He is described as being intelligent enough to qualify for Mensa, so his quick thinking allows him to stay one step ahead of law enforcement. While serving time, Chambers learned to speak Spanish, suggesting he might have fled the United States. Over the past 3 decades, Glen's case has been featured countless times in newspapers and on television shows such as America's Most Wanted and In Pursuit with John Walsh. Those shows led to tips suggesting Chambers may be residing in coastal Alabama. One tipster claimed he met Glen Chambers in Mobile, and he was working in construction in Orange Beach. Marshals also say another caller claimed to have seen Chambers in an Orange Beach bar. Ultimately, Glen Chambers could be anywhere. He may be lurking in your neck of the woods and could call your neighborhood home. If still alive, he would be 68 years old. Anyone with information regarding the whereabouts of Glen Stark Chambers is encouraged to call the United States Marshals or the Florida Department of Law Enforcement.